بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن اهتدى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, this is your host Gabriel Al-Romaani. Welcome to another episode of Defense Against Disaster. This course, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the blessings of Allah, teaching you how to defend your faith against the apostasy, the danger of intellectual apostasy, leaving Islam, the worst mistake anyone could ever do in their life. A lot of people living today want to know at least what Islam is, what it's talking about. Not what you've learned from your mom and your dad, not what you've learned at your school or your, person of knowledge who you have in your community or so on that told you about Islam who's not a Muslim, but to learn it from the direct source. Learn it from the Muslims. If you want to learn math, you're going to go and ask a math teacher. If you want to learn medicine, you're going to talk to someone who's specialized in medicine. If you want to learn about movies, you're going to talk to someone who's specialized in movies and filmmaking. If you want to learn about anything, you ask the person who is a specialist in that field. So if you want to learn about Islam, again, rationally thinking, right, using our brain that God gave us, mashallah, we have brains, that if you want to learn about Islam, you're going to go and ask a person who specializes in Islam, a Muslim. So you want to understand, you want to know how to protect yourself. So you brothers, sisters, you guests who are not yet Muslims, you want to learn about Islam? Ask a Muslim. Ask a Muslim of knowledge, a person who represents Islam. Don't ask and don't listen to the ones who do not represent Islam. Because in the end of the day, being objective, I would say, is something that is very hard to achieve. Everyone is subjective. Anyone will have their own ideas and motives. So at least if you want to take it from someone, take it from the ones who at least practice it and have been living it. Okay? Even though, of course, they would like you to become Muslim, they would like to share this deen with you, but at least you know that you will get correct information. Now, whether you reject it or accept it is up to you in the end of the day. No one can force you. No one can enter your brain, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "La ikraha fid din." There is no compulsion in religion. Truth is clear from falsehood. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Truth is very clear from falsehood. This is right, this is wrong. It's clear. It doesn't require a rocket scientist or someone to understand that, look, this is right, this is wrong. This is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in human beings. But remember, don't fool yourself. Don't allow your desires to tell you what is right or wrong. Look at the evidences and don't try to think of what you believe is right and wrong. Look at what is correct. We've been talking about general counter techniques and how to deal with these groups who are attacking Islam and who are trying to construct a negative image about Islam. And we started by saying that one should know their safety zone and they should always fall back on it when they're confused. When someone comes and tries to shoot a doubt in their hearts, and without a doubt this will happen. There's no doubt in my mind that a lot of us have gone through doubts. And this is something natural. Human beings, whether it's doubts in religion, doubts in personality, doubts in many things, people will entertain this. This is just something normal. It's part of the fitrah. But it's how you deal with this doubt. If this seed of doubt is not removed properly, is not treated and cured, it can grow into a huge tree that will take over your heart and confuse you and, wa'yadhu billah, take you out of the fold of Islam, which is the worst thing, as we said. That's why we call this course what? Defense against disaster. Because it will be a disaster for anyone to leave Islam. And it's also a disaster for anyone, subhanAllah, not to come to Islam. So he said, you should fall on something that is strong, that you believe in. And we said, for example, that the Qur'an is the word of Allah. You have read it. You were convinced by it. You've cried over it. You've seen the proofs. You've listened to the lectures that show you the proof. Be it scientific, linguistic, from a social perspective, whatever you might have, you have seen it, you believed in it. And now a little doubt comes in, and all of a sudden that should destroy everything. They know that this is how a doubt reacts. A doubt is like a drop of blood in a cup of clear water, of pure water, it will make it impure. Okay, it will make it impure. And that's what can happen. You have that clarity, you have your faith, and all of a sudden one drop can be there and it can spoil that whole thing. But no, see, if you put a safety net, a filter over that cup, anyone can try to throw any impurities in there, it's not going to go through. It's not going to go through. Another very important safety zone is Tawheed. Brothers and sisters, there's nothing like the Tawheed of Islam. You know, people say, oh, monotheistic religions. With all due respect, I beg to differ. Because pure monotheism, pure Tawheed, real monotheism is only in Islam. And that is very clear. Well, there are people who say, well, yeah, but the Jews also worship one God. Ah, really? Well, when you look at that, as the Prophet ﷺ said in Hadith, when he was quoting the ayah that they took their rabbis as gods beside Allah. They said, no, we don't worship. The Sahaba came and said to the Prophet, we don't worship these rabbis. He said, don't they make for you what is halal, haram, and haram, halal? They said, yeah. Well, that's exactly what do you think you're doing? You're taking it from them. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a right to tell us what is haram and haram. So you have taken these people. Don't think that shirk is only to, oh, I'm worshipping someone. I quoted you the ayah, أَفَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. His own hawa, his own desires become as a god, as something, an object to be worshipped. And worship doesn't mean just prayer. Worship means your whole heart, your soul, your desire, everything is direct towards this. That you follow them, that they tell you what is right and what is wrong. It's not just praying or something like that. This is very important. So Tawheed, the purity of Tawheed that Islam has, no one has. Okay, you have the Trinity, for example. Okay, the Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. They say, yeah, it's Trinity, but it's one. It's Trinity, 1, 2, 3. This was a way for the early Christians, not early, but as they came, the Pauline Christianity that took over, to deal away with some of the doubts or some of the confusions about the nature of Jesus or the Holy Spirit. Because for them, the fact that Jesus made miracles, that directed them towards to believe that, well, this is something different. It's not like human beings. And then explain the Holy Spirit. So they came up with the concept of the Trinity. I mean, there are many, I'm not going to cut it short. There are many elements around this, why the Trinity came into existence. I don't want to give any kind of disservice towards Christianity or anything like that. There's much more complicated, let's say. But just to go back to the basics, right? It became that the Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God. All three different persons, one essence. It sounds nice, right? But in the end, when you, very simple test. Take that theology and weigh it against the first commandment that all Christians should know. To Moses, which was given on the mount. I am your Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no gods besides me. Be careful. Okay? Pay attention. I am your Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no gods beside me. I am jealous. And he says, thou shalt have no gods beside me in heaven, on earth, or in between. So where does the Trinity come in place? So when you know Tawheed is solid, that there's nothing else that makes sense, then you fall back on that, even if you don't understand some delicacies or some, very minute issues or intricacies of hadith or tafsir or something that these people try to attack you with. No, you're confident and you fall back on that. Next, very important, for those people who are engaged in discussion, relax and don't panic. Make dua, always make dua. Don't be foolish enough to believe that it's your knowledge and your, mashallah, being smart that you'll be able to somehow outdo a person in a debate or in a discussion or in da'wah. No, always make that dua. Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik, wa rabbi zidni ilman. Oh Allah, raise me in knowledge. Make a lot of dua. Don't panic. Don't let your heart fear. Allah is with you. The truth will always prevail. See, that's the thing. Do we really believe? That's the question. the truth will always prevail. I want to give you the story, because a lot of times people say, well, why do we even have to discuss or debate or talk? Or I want to give you the story to cover both points, that the truth will always prevail, and that you should have strength in, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be with you, and the truth will always prevail, and not to panic. The story of Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam, and this is also a very important point, to show that debates and discussions are important. And sometimes public debates and discussions are important. Why? So the people, the masses, can see the truth. When Musa alayhi salam came to Fir'aun, okay, when did they make their appointment, their discussion, their debate to take place? For that, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out after this break. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. You are watching Peace TV, and this is Defense Against Disaster, Defense Against Intellectual Apostasy. Before the break, we're talking about the general counter techniques, and we talked about knowing your safety zone, about relaxing and not panicking. And I was talking about the story of Musa alayhi salam. Okay, and why? Number one is to understand that you should always have confidence and relax, that in the end, truth will always prevail over falsehood. Truth will always swallow lies and falsehood. Yes, these lies are very nice to the eyes. They're deceiving. But in the end of the day, truth will swallow falsehood. At the same time, we want to show that debates and discussions sometimes have to be public, so that people can see and understand what is the truth, so that people are not deceived by the beauty of the arguments of these people that are trying to attack the truth. And that's why the Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he challenged Pharaoh, for the debate, the discussion, the face-off, Pharaoh asked him, when do you want to meet? And he said, the day of the festival, and at midday. Why? Because he wanted everyone to see the defeat. He was confident. He wasn't shaky. He was confident to know that the truth will prevail. But he also wanted to make sure that people should know. And that's why sometimes these things are important for the general public to see, so that people can see how those who are attacking Islam, what happens to them. So that's why when they met, pay attention, these wizards that Pharaoh had, they were playing with lights, optical illusions. So people would think that these people have magic powers, but they didn't. You see, in the castle, when Musa alayhi salam went to Pharaoh, these people came up with their tricks and so on, so people were mesmerized. But when they went for the midday, when they're in the front of everyone, subhanallah, what happened? See, truth swallowed falsehood. Truth swallowed falsehood. And the staff of Musa became into a snake, a real snake. These people, these magicians, were just tricks. And the staff of Musa, the snake of Musa, swallowed the so-called snakes or serpents of these evil magicians. And they themselves knew, and everyone saw and knew, that this is the truth. And that's why these magicians themselves prostrated and fell in prostration and said that we believe in the Lord of Musa. Because they themselves knew that they were cheating and lying. And then they saw the truth. And that's why Allah was with Musa. Tell him, La takhaf. Don't be afraid. Relax. Don't panic. Because Allah is with you. The same statement that a person who has firm conviction will make. The same statement. And the Prophet ﷺ said when he was with Abu Bakr in the cave, La tahzan, inna Allah ma'ana. Don't panic. Don't worry. Allah is with us. Have that. Know that truth will always swallow falsehood, just like the serpent of Musa swallowed the magician serpents. The staff of Musa, this miracle, always, that's how it will be. Next point. Understand the limits of your mind. This is something very important now, brothers and sisters. Living in a society where education is so important, sometimes people let their minds loose our minds have a limit. And also understand the limits of the attacks and proof you are presented with. Know that the novelty effect will strike you. What's the novelty effect? The novelty effect in psychology is when you find out something that you were not familiar with before. So for the first time you find out, for example, that the Prophet ﷺ, for example, fought in a battle and killed a man. You thought, your mind, or the way you were taught or brought up, you said, you never touched anyone or anything like that. No. But you see, you never knew about this. But he was in a battle. So when someone comes and tells you, see your Prophet, look what he did, A'udhu Billah, and you get scared and you never heard about it, and you get shocked and doubts come in your heart. But this is not correct. It's just because you didn't know. It's the novelty effect. Of course, there was a war. Look at this. Alexander the great hero of the world. How many people did he fight with and how many people did he kill? But he is considered a hero. Caesar. All the big heroes of history. But you see, when it comes to the Prophet, they like to twist it. Oh, you see what he did? A'udhu Billah. People have no fear of God. They try to single and amplify the issues for you to fear and to have doubts. So this is the novelty effect. But you need to understand the limits of your mind, brothers and sisters. Know that you cannot understand and comprehend everything. It doesn't make sense. Don't think that if someone provided you with some information and your mind was not able to digest it, that khalas, it's the end of it. No. Have faith. Have strength. Pause. Relax. Don't panic. Check. Learn. And deal with this novelty effect. Okay, take it. It's not easy. But your faith is what will put you through this. Next, read what you've been presented with. So here comes the argument. You're given it. Okay, you have the argument in front of you. Someone's making an argument. Read what you're presented with. Understand it. Think about it. Don't just brush it under the carpet. This is one of the biggest problems that someone will do. Is like, no, you try to forget about it. You try to deny. No, I don't believe this. No, I'll deny it. Because then it'll come back to haunt you. Sometimes get someone to read it with you. Most of the time, the issue is the way the argument was presented. Missionaries are expert at manipulating these things 90% of the times. I'll give you an example. I remember very well. I was just after prayer in the masjid, and I was approached by a young man. I could see on his face the doubts. And he said, look, I need to talk to you. Someone told me that I can talk to you. I have a problem. So we sat down, we talked, and he told me, look, a person of science, and I've learned, a lot about science, and, here someone came and brought me this argument. And he said that even before he used to debate with people, and he was so strong, he knows Islam and science, and the miracles of the Qur'an, and he used to even embarrass atheists. He said, now, I don't know, I cannot answer this, and I'm so doubtful, maybe Islam is not correct. So I said, okay, let's sit down together and read this. What was the issue? The issue was about the ayah of, some people call it Uzair and the donkey, right? The story of this person who went with his donkey, and he passed by a village, and he asked, how will Allah raise the people after they've been gone, after they die? And Allah caused them to sleep, and He resurrected him, and He says, look at your donkey, and look how we clothe the bones with flesh. And look at his food, and so on. You know the story. Now, the argument, the way it was fixed, was that Islam doesn't know which comes first. Is it the bone or the flesh? Because the ayah says, and look at the bones and how we clothe them with flesh. So number one, the first problem is that they took it out of context. See, the guy had no clue that this is talking about the donkey and how they're resurrected, and Allah put it together in front of him to see it. He was only focused at the argument that they made, that Islam got it scientifically wrong, incorrect from a biological point, from an anatomical point, that the bones come first and then their flesh clothed with the flesh. So the guy was confused. So we sat down, let's read. So I read the ayah. I said, what's the problem? He said, but the bones, don't come. I mean, cells differentiate and they specialize. And I'm like, I know, man. I'm also a science background. But he said, I'm so, shocked and I have doubts. I said, bro, look at this. It's talking about a donkey that Allah raised in front of this man to show him how he will raise, people after they're dead at the day of resurrection. So the bones were there obviously because the donkey was, he became putrefied as any dead body. And then God ordered it to come back to life. In front of him, the bones assembled and the meat came on it and the donkey came back. It was a miracle. So it has nothing to do with when the bones come or when. But you see, the way he was focused on the wrong thing. He couldn't see. They took it out of context. He said, oh my God, I didn't think about it. I didn't think that it's talking about donkey being resurrected and all that. He was shocked. He said, look at these people. I said, bro, take this as a lesson for you to know that this is how they work. See, he focused you on the problem and you overlooked the rest of the forest. You were just looking at the tree. And that's what they do. They're experts in pushing you towards this problem and you ignore the context, you ignore everything. When the answer is right there, you're talking about 3-4 words later. But you see how easy it is. You see how easy it is to be pulled away if you do not pay attention. Pay attention. Read it with someone else. Read it again. Don't panic. Relax. Have faith. And you'll find it for sure, no doubt. Next. Ask someone to explain if you don't know. Someone who has experience and is knowledgeable. There might be people in your community who are experts in this. Now we have more and more websites. You can find, you can check. You'll find the answer. Don't just jump to conclusions. Ask someone. I remember though, this also requires the people in our community, the scholars, to be more accessible. Because I remember when the same brother that I told you the story about, I told him, did you go and talk to the Imam? He said, yeah, but I cannot approach him, I'm scared. He's not that approachable. No, we have to be approachable. We have to have people in our community who know these things, who are experts, who can be asked in case people are in doubt. Don't wait till it's too long. I remember in my community, sometimes people were telling me, look, you shouldn't get involved in these kind of stuff. You shouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff. I said, really, why not? Well, because it causes problems. SubhanAllah, after a few years, the same people came back to me and they're like, oh, we're having a problem. No, and these Christians came and they're saying bad things about Islam and these people are saying bad things about. I said, well, you see, we need to know, we need to understand. You can't just not learn. You can't just put things under the carpet and hide them. You need to address them. Because if you deny them, you hide them, push them under the carpet, slowly, it's going to become big. And someone's going to look under, hey, what's going on here? And then they will find a whole pile of problems. This is something very important, brothers and sisters. These are some of the general counter techniques. We have quite a few more. I hope that you are hooked on to this, inshallah. We ran out of time today. We'll see you on the next episode. This is your host, Gabriel Al-Romaani, and this is Defense Against Disaster here on Peace TV. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.